going to talk about Joe Biden and his talk in Warsaw, where he made the statement that Putin cannot remain in power, and Republicans seem shocked. My God, how can you say this man who has just invaded his neighboring country, how can you say he can't remain in power? Well, it shouldn't be a shock. If they've been reading newspapers, if they've been listening to Putin, if they have any knowledge of what's going on in the world, you would know that Putin has decided to make Russia great again. He has been encouraged by former President Trump, who kept touting "Make America Great Again," and Trump went over to Russia and spouted his ideas and plans to Putin. Well, Putin liked Trump. Putin thought Trump wasn't professional, and Putin thought Trump wasn't experienced, but he was a good conversationalist, and Putin enjoyed listening to his ideas. So Putin adopted an idea. If America's going to make America great again, then Russia should make Russia great again. And Putin began to act on his plan, something he wanted to do for a long time. Now, Russia, I believe in the 70s, decided to disband because they wanted to get rid of Gorbachev. So all of the groups disbanded and Russia became much smaller, less powerful. Naturally, Putin didn't like having a smaller, less powerful country. So he has been thinking for a long time of trying to make Russia great again and put all of the countries back together. Trump was the incentive. He was the words. Putin could see that Americans liked this idea. They were rallying around Trump. They wanted to make America great again. Putin was sure Russians are going to rally around him and want to make Russia great again. He was sure he was going to get large crowds around him as he spouted his rhetoric in the way that Trump was spouting his rhetoric to his followers. So Putin went out and decided it was time to attack the Ukraine, Crimea, and other countries that bordered Russia. Russia says it did not want Ukraine to join NATO. It wants its borders to be safe and secure. Well, of course, every country wants their border to be safe and secure, but Russia demands that in order to be safe and secure, they cannot have any country at its border that might be in NATO or that might think of invading Russia. That is why Russia has proclaimed it wants Alaska. It says with America owning Alaska, even though Russia sold Alaska to the United States, Putin says Russia can't be safe and secure as long as Alaska belongs to the United States. The real reason is that they're having a meltdown in the Arctic, and that meltdown is freeing up land that was hidden for centuries under ice. And there are natural resources that are very desirable up there in the Arctic. So Putin wants a war with the United States. Joe Biden has been excellent in keeping us out of the Ukraine civil war. These wars happen around the world. We have one in various countries. Nigeria invaded Biafra. 2 million people were killed there and Nigeria won. Russia is much bigger than Ukraine, and it's pretty certain after millions of deaths, Russia will win. But what's going to be the status after Russia wins? They're still going to have countries at their border that are in NATO, and Russia is still going to proclaim it doesn't feel safe and secure. How is this going to end? With people fighting Putin, if Putin wants to remain in power after the Ukraine war, how is Russia going to deal with the other countries? Because now it's not going to be seen as a good co-partner. It's going to be seen more and more as the focus of enemy actions. I think Joe Biden is doing excellent at keeping the United States out of the Ukraine war. The other thing Russia didn't like was that when Biden took Americans out of Afghanistan and Iraq, well, that meant that America was not spending billions of dollars in those countries. So America was going to have an opportunity to spend money on its infrastructure, on its army, to help its people, to make life better in the United States. And Russia did not like that. Russia liked seeing the United States crippled by war in foreign countries. Joe Biden is doing the best he can to keep the United States from just coming out of Afghanistan and Iraq and going straight into another war. Unlike Trump, he does not want to use nuclear weapons. Trump said he would have used the nuclear card. Putin may want to make Russia great again, but we will have to be very tactical to keep the United States out of the Ukraine war. The people in the Ukraine are Russians on the western side. So there's Russians against Russians. Whites fighting whites. Russians fighting Russians. In the eastern side, there are other people from other countries. But western Ukraine is mostly Russians, relatives of the people in Russia. How this will end, we don't know, but you have to be very strategic, and I think Biden is walking a tight line. He's calm. I think what he said in Warsaw was excited by his meeting with the NATO partners, but he's doing a great job at keeping us out of a war in the Ukraine by not offering planes to fly over Ukraine. As far as taking Ukrainian citizens, as I said, Ukraine has a lot of Russians who are related to people in Russia. So you can't take all of the Ukrainians. You might want to, because a lot of them are going to be blackmailed by Russia to do harm to the United States. They'll take relatives of Russians from the Ukraine and hold them hostage in Russia. And the Russians who are in the United States will be forced to work against United States citizens. It's a difficult decision. Maybe we should put the people who are displaced from the Ukraine on some of those big Russian yachts and let them live there until some months have passed and we can see how the war is going. Please like and subscribe.